Hello, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Moving Spotlight
Woo-woo.
podcast. Whoa, I am excited. I just got off a couple days on set, top secret show. Yep.
Yeah.
I will say the lead actor rhymes with Bob Blow. That's all I can say.
I
so I
love
didn't
Bob.
give anything away. Yeah. Blaise can't even figure it out. Well, that's to come. I can't say. So, Corbin, what I wanted to chat with you about today is the different parts of living in a city. So when I first moved to LA, I moved to Westwood in the Village, and the place I lived in, it's crazy. It was an efficiency apartment. It was a Jack and Jill. So I shared a bathroom with someone who I didn't know. Like they could rent that out to someone.
Unacceptable.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
I know, it's terrible. Looking back, I also was the guy who did not have bed sheets for like, I don't know, the first 3 months. Why? I don't know.
Wait. What does that mean? You were using jackets?
Jackets. Yeah, it's warm enough here. I have
like
no
you
idea.
wore a jacket and you went to bed, or you laid jackets?
I laid a jacket over
you?
the top. Lay a jacket
That
over the
is
top.
so weird, John.
Yeah, I would never do that now. My wife would kill me. And then the last thing was, in this building, you shared a kitchen with like all the other 30 people that lived.
Wow.
That lived in this.
Were there
this
enough
thing.
like pots and pans and stuff? Like, did you kind of have to wait?
At the time, you know what's funny? At the time, I was just making like spaghetti with like red sauce like every day. So I had one like thick pot that I had like got, and I just made spaghetti like every night, and it was super simple. So that was my main, but that was when I first moved to LA. That was where I lived in Westwood. And then I've lived in Hollywood for a long time in the East Side. So we're like, what about you, Corbin? What areas have you lived in?
I've lived in Playa del Rey, Manhattan Beach, Long Beach for a little bit. I've been all over the map. And, Long Beach was a weird one. I was only there for like 4 months because then all my roommates just decided to leave at one time, and I was like, okay, I guess I'm going now. And the landlord was like, we really like you, we'd like you to stay, and he's like, but you're gonna have to find people. I was like, I'm not gonna find people, isn't that your job?
Yeah, I'm good.
That was a weird experience all around. But yeah, I've been all over the map. I've been in Silver Lake, been in West Hollywood, so I just am trying all the LA spots. It's great.
That's so cool. Well, another person who's lived on the East Side near me for a long, long time is our guest today. So this guy is a longtime friend of mine. We actually met on the set of the show Speechless, which we will get into.
Yeah.
But what I want to say is this guy is a world-class, just guy, actor, filmmaker. Everyone I know in his orbit just loves him. You know, he's a wonderful, wonderful person. I want to welcome to the show, Blaise Miller. What's up, Blaise?
Thanks for having me, guys.
Blaise, hey.
Of course.
I actually like that intro. I mean, I might put that on a card, like world-class guy.
You're the best guy.
It's not bad. That's pretty good. Thank you for that.
And you know what? I've never used that intro before. Sometimes people repeat themselves. I've never said world-class guy before, Blaise. So you must mean a lot to me. So Blaise, we met on set. Do you want to tell just the story, just kind of leading up to that? It's kind of a fun story.
Yeah, well, we were lucky enough to get a week of work, right, John? On we got to go to the studio lot, and we had our honey wagons, and there was about four or five guys that were just the leads, parent, dad, friends from school. So we had hopes of recurring for sure.
Yeah.
Every actor, when you do one episode of a show, you're always like walking around being like, hey, could my character come back? Like, I know I get killed at the end, but is there a way? Could I be on multiple? Could I recur?
This
like,
is a soap, right?
You're just like, you're dropping those like little seeds everywhere, right? So yeah, go on, Blaise. Yeah.
So we have our honey wagons right next to each other, and I guess, John, you hung out in mine, or
I think I knocked on your door, like, and
we only
myself.
needed one honey wagon. So, and after that, I mean, we had a blast, obviously working, going to set every day, which is, usually you'll come on, for a role like that and just do a day, but that was like, we were like five days on. So felt like a real working guy. But after that, we just kind of, we went off and did a little short form play out of the Santa Monica Airport.
No, wait. Let's not skip past it though. One of the things I was mentioning to Corbin, Blaise, I think you should touch on, because I haven't told too many basketball stories on here, is when you challenged me to a shooting contest. Do you remember that, Blaise?
You take that away.
No,
I know that you're. I didn't know you were such a ball player.
Yes. Okay. Go on. Good. This is what I like to hear. Go on.
It was not. There was a reason now that I know that I was cut my junior year. of basketball. So, I mean, he's a player. You still playing?
I do still play. Yeah, I do still
Yeah.
play. Yeah, I do still play. Yeah. Well,
But obviously you have a better version of this story. I probably just put it away.
You put it in the vault and forgot about it.
it's a simple story. Really, what it is a basketball hoop there. Blaise is like, hey, let's go shoot. I'm like, sure. And then we did a shooting contest, and I feel like I didn't like even barely miss a shot. And Blaise was like, oh Jesus, and then shot well, but it was just like Blaise was like, yeah, we're done playing basketball for a bit. So then I don't think we played anymore. So
I think I mean it was there. I think we'd go and take a shot every once in a while, but
it's also for basketball players. For me, it was a little easier because I think it was a little bit of a bent rim. So when you have a bent rim, you're like, oh, this feels like nice. You just have to kind of like you're
just playing darts at that point.
You're playing darts,
and it became bent because of all my shots.
yeah, Blaise, yeah. And then that's right. That was an awesome experience. We did, I guess they called it micro theater, which was really great. Blaise, this is what we talk about, like, working with people again and again. Blaise thought of me for this project that his buddy was doing, that he was doing. And we did like, I don't know, like a 15-minute play. And then we did it 5 times a night. And then the audience would rotate between these like 5 plays.
It was like an art exhibit, like a moving exhibit. And so there were a bunch of little mini plays. It was actually pretty good. Pretty fun, wasn't it?
Yeah. And we got paid for it, which is rare with theater. You know what I mean? Remember that, Blaise? You got to check. Yeah. We got it.
So what makes it a micro play? Is it just the length of the play, or just the fact that the stage is okay? Interesting. So just little vignettes. Yeah. Cool. I like that. That's a fun little.
I don't even remember if there was a through line through the plays or not, but
I think they were
ours
all
was
kind of a little thing. Yeah.
We were playing a couple bad guys that were moving a body, right?
A body and a carpet. Yeah, body and a carpet. Yeah.
And when I look at us, I say those two guys could move a body.
Couple of scoundrels. So Blaise, besides how we became buddies, just jumping back, how did you get your start in acting? Where did that kind of either the bug come from, or when did you kind of jump into it?
Yeah, it could be a long story or it could be a short story, but basically, I went off to college. I had done some drama in high school, but nothing too crazy. I kind of played soccer all year round, and then went off to college to play soccer, and actually ended up getting hurt 2 weeks before the freshman year started. I ended up breaking my jaw. Like broke it here and shattered it here, and was wired shut for the first 2 months of college. And
Blaise, when that happened to Kanye West, after that he became a superstar.
Yeah.
So did you ever go through a similar journey with your jaw?
I did in a very similar fall.
Oh my God.
But you can rise again. But long story short, my jaw was wired shut for 2 months, and just kind of a miserable time. But that being said, it kind of got me into something, like I was looking for something else that was sort of team oriented. I was so used to just playing soccer all year round and having people to work with, and having a common goal in mind, and my grades went downhill. And so my folks were like, you got to get your grades up or we're going to have to pull you out. And I was like, all right, let me take some. And by this time my jaw was unwired. And so I decided to take a couple theater classes, and then a woman at the time knocked on my door, or a college student. She was like in my drama class and asked if I would come out and audition for this show called The Wendy Chronicles. Is it The Wendy Chronicles? The Heidi Chronicles.
Okay.
And I got to play like 4 or 5 small roles in it. Like I had a fake belly, I had a fake mustache. I got to play someone's boyfriend.
And where was this, Blaise? Where were they shooting this? Where were you at the time?
This was at Randolph-Macon College in right outside of Richmond, Virginia, which is where I went to. Which is where I got my Bachelor of Arts in theater. But man, at that point I just got bit by that bug, and just sort of, just the community that is drawn to, the theater. And it was just a really open and fun fun environment to be in. And from there, I met a buddy in the theater program who got me involved in an improv troupe outside of college. And we actually toured up and down the East Coast doing live shows. It was more short form, like Whose Line Is It Anyway? You know, like, and that was a lot of fun. And then, I ended up graduating, and right after that, I saw Second City, touring company, come through town.
Okay.
And me and my buddy just looked at each other and we were like, oh, that's it. We got to go. So we ended up going out to Chicago, auditioning for the conservatory, Second City Conservatory, got in, moved to Chicago, 2001, right after 9/11, which was, obviously a terrible time, but it was like, are people ever going to want to laugh again? You know, like, but then, went through that whole rigmarole in Chicago, doing producing, writing, improving in Chicago. And so I guess to answer your question, I got bit by the acting bug back in college, and it just, kind of dominoed from there.
That's great. And Blaise, I didn't even realize it, but I graduated Northwestern right around that time. So I think we overlapped a bit in Chicago, which is kind of crazy. I wasn't doing any improv or anything at the time, but I was I was living in Lincoln Park right around that same time period that you were.
Did we talk about this? Because I was working in Lincoln Park. I was working at a little place called the Pasta Bowl right on Clark and Fullerton.
John, didn't you get really mad at a guy at the Pasta Bowl in Chicago?
I burned a guy's face and I broke his jaw. I broke a guy's jaw. I broke his jaw there. So Blaise, I guess we never talked about this, but what's crazy is my apartment was Clark and Fullerton. I swear to God, I was on Deming. Crazy. There was an Einstein Bagels, and I was right behind Einstein Bagels, which is like right there.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And that's also, Corbin, it's near a famous place called the Wiener Circle, which people from Chicago know, which is where you go late at night and they insult you when you order your hot dogs and stuff. It's really funny. They like make fun of you. Like they've done some videos there, I think. Which
I think is the only way to eat a hot dog is to be insulted while doing so.
Especially if you order one. Yeah, you got to be insulted. I did not realize that. That's so interesting, Blaise. And a couple of things. One, you mentioned short form improv. So when I grew up in Wisconsin, I used to go to Summerfest, and they had Comedy Sports there. Comedy Sports was created in Wisconsin, and that's like a very much Whose Line Is It Anyway? And I loved, oh my God, I would just die and cackle, and I just loved seeing that. And then when I was at Northwestern, I went to a show at Second City, like the show that like Tina Fey and Rachel Dratch were in, and oh my God, it was like so good.
So funny,
so funny. And that's so great that you were there. So you're in Chicago, and then what led you from Chicago out to LA?
I had a comedy group in Chicago, and we were starting to, digital cameras were starting to come around, starting to pop up, and we were shooting some shorts, some of our sketches we were trying to put on camera. And at the same time, I was auditioning commercially, and had a couple close calls, and I was like, all right, well, there seems to be more going on out in Los Angeles. And the group was kind of starting to break apart, just as they do. But I ended up moving out here 2005.
Okay.
I will be honest, it was partly, or majority of it was for a girl.
Okay. Chasing that tail.
My girlfriend at the time was and moved from Chicago to Santa Barbara for grad school. So I was coming out flying into LA, and we'd spend some days in LA, and I was kind of getting a lay of the land. And I luckily had a family friend that knew, actually my aunt knew a guy that was a commercial agent out here. And so I got set up with that commercial agent right when I moved out, I wasn't even union. My headshots were still black and white. And we ended up breaking up before I actually made the move, but I was like, I'm still going. So
this was pre you becoming the commercial king. I don't know if you know Corbin. Blaise shot a lot of commercials. So then that transition into commercial, like doing those, like did that just come about because of like the improv and you enjoyed it? Like how did that kind of?
I mean, I'll tell you, I think the best thing for that transition, the commercial moving into commercials was the improv training and the experience. But I will say, and I know you, John, you've run commercial sessions for years and years. Like when I got out here, I took a waiting tables job at a nightclub up on the Sunset Strip couple nights a week. But during the day, I started out in the hallway taking Polaroids over at Lean Cowan, which is now Broadcast.
Yep.
And so, but then went from being hallway guy to, session runner.
Yep.
And it wasn't until that I started booking. It was almost like a class in how to go about doing it, because you see the people that are doing it well, you see about the maybe things that aren't working, and then you're hearing director and client, behind the camera as well. So it was an interesting, sort of juxtaposition between coming out and just wanting to book commercials and then being behind the camera and seeing, what it actually does take. So that was a huge tool.
Yeah, that's the same as me, Blaise. When I started running sessions is really when I started booking and stuff. And I always recommend, if you can get experience around the epicenter of what you want to do, it's so helpful. So, being in that room, yes, it's like a class. You're learning, you're seeing, yes, you're working. But, I always recommend to actors or like writers, if you can get into like a writer's room, actors, if you can get into like a casting room, or even if you're just on set, that experience, especially before you're like doing it professionally or as you're on your way there, is like invaluable, because you're learning all these things. Hopefully you're getting paid. It's not like a, free internship. You're getting paid. So you're kind of covering your bills, but it maybe isn't your main way of earning money. Like you've had that, the night job or whatever, but it's such great reps and you're around the world. I think that's really important versus, well, I got this gig, I'm completely away from the world and I'm trying to get in. That can be challenging, I understand it, but like, that's cool. I didn't know. I forgot that too. That's so interesting, Blaise. So you did that for a while, session directing.
I did it, I was still doing it up until off and on, I was on the short list, I had, the auditions had gotten to a point where I wasn't able to sort of block out the time that was needed back in the day. But then auditions slowed down, even prior to the pandemic. I don't know if it was as a result of, just moving through the years, my age demographic changing, even though I see myself as still being able to cheers a beer on a commercial, they don't want to see. They don't want to see this guy doing that anymore. But yeah, and now I'm actually back to it. I'm doing more of I'm working over at a studio in Atwater called On the Mark, which does coaching and taping. So I've been putting a lot of actors on tape, like self tapes, over the last couple months. So which has been really great, just to get out and work with actors and do that stuff again.
That's great. Yeah, kind of with the new actors or like people that you're working with, do you have any advice for people to create their own content? Because like seeing, the vacation years that you did online and like your improv like training and just kind of getting out there, it seems like you're good at following that instinct. But what's your advice for doing that?
For creating content?
Yeah, just kind of, getting yourself out there.
I think that was huge. I feel lucky to have come out here at the same time as a lot of my Chicago buddies. So when we all got out here, we kind of joined forces, because at the time, we were 28, 29, kind of just coming out, which, a lot of people were like, "Oh, you're too late," and we were like, "No, we're not. We're gonna make our own stuff." So. A bunch of guys that I went to through Chicago with were University of Texas film grads. So they had the know-how of the editing, setting up camera, lighting, stuff like that, stuff that I didn't exactly have any expertise in at the
Corbin,
start.
Blaise could barely hit a mark when he moved out here. I mean, I didn't know him then, but like
I didn't even know. I thought people were calling me Mark, and I kept on
What's
going,
a Mark?
it's Blaise. It's
Luckily,
Blaise.
those guys would just turn him in a direction and then push him, and then he just kind of slowly walk and slow down and hit it.
See that tape? Stand on it.
Exactly. But I mean, it was huge. It was huge for us to just go out and just do it, and I think sometimes people get caught up in, the semantics of it. It needs to sound great. It needs to be written perfectly. It needs to blah, blah, blah. We need someone attached. We need, we were just doing it as an exercise. Obviously we wanted people to see it, but inevitably we were doing it just to be doing something. And over the years we did see some success. We were able to kind of create our own content, because a lot of people aren't as lucky as, say, like Ashton Kutcher, who gets discovered at a mall. You know what I mean? Like, so you gotta find your way in any way you can. And
Blaise, I showed Corbin when we were prepping for this interview, which obviously needed a lot of prep, so we could get you there. We were prepping. I showed him the video of the Google Maps video you did, which has over 3 million views. And what's interesting watching it is, like, if you watch it, I mean, it looks like SD. Like you're saying, it's not. It's
for sure SD.
But it's for sure. But watching Corbin watch it, who hadn't seen it, he was like, "Oh, that's so good! Like, it's a great video if you want to look it up." And can I just explain the idea, which is they're looking up on Google Maps and they're getting closer and closer. And as Google Maps is zooming in, they can actually go into the apartment, and then they like look behind them. There's like this glowing red light. You know what I mean? It's like the thing is right there.
Yeah.
And what I loved about it was the thing where at the end you go back to your normal life, Blaise, and then the other actor is like his life. You can see like his life has changed.
Gone.
It's like, but that's a great example. And that's one thing where I love that idea. I thought you guys did a great job. It's in, it's really, like I said, it really is well done, but it's not perfect in the sense of like everything's got to be just right, and it's still hit. You know what I mean, right?
There's actually a really good story behind that. Like we sat down, the four of us, the vacationeers, and we were like, we need a viral video, and it's like, what are you gonna do? So we threw out a couple ideas, and we shot like 3 of them. And the other one was called, I think, The Forecast. We did another one, and then Google Maps like popped. Like it was, CNN picked it up. It was screening. I mean, this was 2006, so YouTube had just kind of come around, and a viral video back then was like, oh my gosh, you got 100,000 views in a week, and then it was like 500,000, and then CNN kind of did a little special on it. And then we got a call from Google.
Whoa.
Oh, wow.
And we were like, cease and desist. Like we thought we're in trouble. Big Brother is actually coming for us.
Is that when you called me from Mexico with the name? Senor Miller's on the phone.
That was when my jaw was broken for the 3rd time.
My Google.
So, but and next thing you know, they're like, we love it. We want to fly you up to the campus, and we want to show you around and tell you about some new things that we've got going on. Because at the time, the street view was kind of controversial because they were driving on people's private properties and things like that. And then we went up to the Google campus, and we met with a bunch of their different teams, like Google Earth, Google SMS, just learned about all these new things that were coming out. And they were like, we don't advertise, but we'd like you to continue this. And we were like, okay, we're picking up what you're laying down. And we were like, so what we need, because they own Sony, I think, right? Isn't it Sony?
I don't know if they own Sony, but maybe, okay.
Anyway, next thing you know, camera shows up, lighting package shows up, microphone shows up, and we go on and shoot a web series called The Googling, which is, sort of on the heels of Google Maps, and there's just a whole bunch of shorts, and they actually sent us down their Google mascot at the time. So in one of them, you could see that we are in the Google mascot.
You know what I love about that, Blaise? I mean, that's just one idea. And then I do want to fast forward a little bit because right about the same time I was making my independent film Solver streaming on Amazon Prime.
It's great.
Blaise was thank you. And Blaise was also making a movie, Home State. Am I saying it right? Make sure.
Home State, yeah.
Yeah, Home State, which I saw. And that was another project, Blaise, where you were like, the engine around creating it. And, from making my film, and I'm sure you went the same thing. It's like, yeah, if you're waiting around to try to get names or try to get everything perfect or whatever, it's never going to happen, or it's going to be really, really challenging. So I love that story with that Google and where that happened, what that led to that you didn't even see happening.
Yeah.
And can we just fast forward? We might jump around, but like when you, for Homestay, creating that film, I know it's a big thing to unpack, but just this idea, Blaise, I think, obviously, you worked a lot in commercials and things like that, but creating something like that, I think for people to hear, just want to talk about either the challenges or, why you wanted to do that. I think there's something interesting there to talk about.
I really, I had been making, with the group, I'd been making shorts. But then outside of the group, I was making little shorts on my own that sort of featured me in a way that I wanted to be seen theatrically, maybe more of a love interest or sort of, in a different light. And Home State was just slice of life movie. I had written it with a buddy that I met on a film in Austin, Texas, and we ended up kind of combining forces. And I had a good run with commercials, and had back in the day, the commercials, it was like the money was just, it was good money.
More lucrative.
It was lucrative.
Yes.
And that's obviously changed.
Blaise used to have a swimming pool full of dollar bills. I swam in it.
Yeah.
I swam in it.
You remember DuckTales?
Remember
DuckTales?
Yeah.
Remember when you would dive in the gold coins?
That's what Blaise said. Really swimming in gold coins though, I feel like that would hurt. I really wouldn't want to swim in gold
Going
coins.
face first into that.
It's tough.
Fourth time you broke your jaw.
But I'd socked away, some money. And so I was like, I don't know why I was thinking this, but I was just like, a feature film, that's like stringing together a bunch of short films. And I've been able to accomplish a bunch of these. So why don't I just go out and we'll make this feature? And so we ended up making this feature for about $100,000. We didn't go out and raise any money. I was lucky enough to be able to have half of that. And I kind of felt fine with that. I was just like, if I'm going to gamble on anybody, I might as well gamble on myself, So he brought in the rest. We made the film. We had a good run, festival wise, won a couple of awards, ended up getting distribution. You can see it out there on Amazon, and we're actually on YouTube as well with ads in it, which isn't the most ideal way of watching a movie, but it's out there, and people have been reacting to it. And I will say this, on Corbin, your question earlier, any advice, like I would say, and maybe John, you can agree with me here, is like, you have these expectations, like, man, it'd be great if this film went to Sundance. Man, it'd be great if this film went to South by or Tribeca or, any of the top tier, festivals, because that could help propel you forward. But, seeing your wins as wins. Do you know what I mean? I think we all have our eye on this, golden cup that's up here. And so it's hard to see everything that's here building towards that cup, because anything that is in that cup, you feel like you're falling short of. So I think back to that question, Corbin, is like, see your wins as wins. Like even finishing a film, even getting a film into a festival, even getting distribution, even telling someone that your movie's out on Amazon, like those are all wins. You know what I mean? Yeah. Even though it's not your, you're not making any speeches and accepting any trophies. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. No, that's a great point, Blaise. I think God, it's really easy to, it's not just compare, but like see where other people are and be like, yeah, that's where I want to be. And then I'll
Yeah,
be satisfied or happy, or that's success. And I really think that like can kind of screw with our heads.
yeah,
And so you're right, Blaise. I mean, I think, yeah, just completing a film, writing a film, making your own projects, doing a web series, all that stuff, writing a book, it, that's challenging in and of itself.
yeah,
And that's part of the journey, I think. And you find that just continues on every level. And so you got to kind of get your mindset right for it,
yeah,
and so I think it's a great point. You can want to be like, get into like Sundance and things like that, and that really helps. It can help, but when it doesn't happen, that's okay too, because
for
there's
sure.
so many times where that leads you somewhere that you didn't expect,
Yeah,
and so I think that's you know, sometimes you can't always control all that stuff, but the doing is great. The doing is great.
doing is great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't do it. So, I think going out there and creating your stuff is it's important.
The other thing I was just, for some reason, flashed in my brain is when you take on creative projects. This is interesting. I feel like when you come out the other side, you either kind of create people that disappear from your life, and then you create people that are super strong bonds, and then you create people that like are bad bonds, whether you want to or not. There's like the three levels. So, you know what I mean? I know that makes sense, but like, because you're going through something so intense, I always
Yeah.
think that like it is challenging. And so I like to say, you're in the trenches, I mean, it's not as life or death. But you
Sure.
do feel like you're in something, and you kind of, it can be challenging, but it also be really rewarding. And sometimes coming out the other end, you're like, wow, like we really got along and figured out these things, or God, we really butted heads a lot. And I think that's part of the navigation of it too, because it's a creative field
Yeah.
that people kind of have to be a bit okay with going in. It's not as X's and O's.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What's
Yeah,
Blaise?
for sure.
what's something
And
that
I
you
think,
both? Sorry, continue, please.
no, I was just going to add on to like what you're saying. And it's, that process, you may not go into it going, hey, I want this to be a learning process. I want this to bring me up a notch. You have other ideas, but when you come out the other end, there is sort of this transformation, I guess, just from the experience and an education.
Yep.
In more than just being an actor. Like you're carrying sandbags, you're lifting, setting C stands, you know what I mean? You are getting your hands dirty. And I've kind of found myself on, studio sets where I'm trying to help out, and they're like, bro, that's against union. You go sit in your chair and eat an apple or something, like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like, we don't need you carrying these things. That's a liability. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Corbin, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, I was just kind of gonna ask you the same kind of thing, is, or both of you, what did you not expect to learn while you were making these films that it seems so obvious now that you've done it,
Mhm.
like, because you're saying it's very educational, and you did learn a lot about carrying sandbags, but what was something that was important that you still carry to sets now, or to things that you just learned?
Yeah.
I think, not that that's a good question. I think knowing what everybody's position and job is on set
Mm-hmm.
was huge. You know what I mean? Because, I think the actors and the writers and directors, they sort of get the spotlight, you know what I mean? But you really see what makes the engine go, and the importance of that. Yeah, I feel like that is more important than, I'm not taking anything away from what actors or directors or writers do, but like, it is, that the set doesn't work without the engine, you know what I mean? And I really feel like the crew is the engine of the production, you know what I mean? And really make things go. I don't know what you think, John.
I think that's true. When you asked that, Corbin, what I was thinking about this idea of like being ready for the promotion before you get it. And I think I just translate that as like, you know, I want to hire people or work with people that are like better at that job than I am, you know? So if I'm getting people on a crew, if I'm producing it, then I want someone who really knows this world and, you know, maybe they want my input, but it's like they know it better than I do. So that's why I'm leaning on their expertise. And I think about that just also like, you know, even if you hire an actor for a smaller role, it's like, hopefully they're prepared for more than that role, which would be awesome. But, you know, I don't want them to just barely make it, hopefully, or just scrape by. And so that idea of, I mean, it's not just preparation, but it's like being prepared for when you're called upon. And I think to me, that is like a really important thing that, you know, not only actors, because there's so much flexibility that has to happen on set. There's so much flexibility. And I think if you have trouble flexibility, that can be, you know, whether you're an actor and you're like, oh, I didn't prepare that scene. They're like, well, we're shooting it today because we're at this location and we're losing sun. That actor's got to be like, all right, let's figure it out, you know. Or if you've got a crew where it's like, we got to do this. I think having some flexibility, because you're always putting out fires on set. Right, Blaise? I mean, you're always like, it's literally, you're like, you're problem solving over and over again. And you're doing some of that as an actor, but when you're behind the scenes, you're always like, okay, we don't have somebody for that. Let's figure it out. Let's, you know, so you have to constantly kind of be flexible with what's thrown your way to keep the ship rolling, you know, to keep the ship moving forward. I think, you know, it's important. Challenging though. Challenging. Yeah. My first week on the set of Solver, my dad was there. He drove out from Wisconsin with me, Blaise. I don't know if you knew this. So we packed up the SUV with tables for crafty, you know, when you're doing an independent movie, and like the you know, they had an old printer, which we brought, which like didn't even work, but we're like, maybe we can get it to work. We brought all this stuff to set. And then that first week on set, when I was producing and acting, my dad was like, I've never seen you so stressed. It was just a lot. It was a lot. We were shooting at a cabin out by nothing. And, you know, it's really, it can be really challenging. But now when I'm on set as just an actor, God, am I prepared? I just hang it, you know, I'm by the side, I'm ready to go. I'm not too much. I'm not too little, if that makes sense. Cause I've seen, you know, Blaise, the perspective you're talking about from the other side of the casting table or the other side of the production table. And I think that's really, really important to kind of
100%. I agree with you 100%. I felt that difference when I went to set. It was just like, I'm here to do my job. I'm going to do my job and I'll be ready for anything. You know what I mean? It's, that's an important thing.
Yeah.
I want to pivot a little because I'm a big nerd and I saw that you were at Comic-Con, and I want to ask you how that experience was like. What was it like being up on the panel and like being there? What was it all like?
That was an awesome experience, Corbin, man. We the same guys that did the Google Maps videos. We, you know, once we got the equipment, did the web series, we used that equipment and we were able to finance a film. And we made a film called The Scenesters for about $250,000. Had a good festival run, but that propelled us to our second feature, which was It's a Disaster, which, you know, we were able to get some talent involved around the rest of us.
More talent. No, more talent.
But, you know, we got, you know, David Cross came out, Julia Stiles, and America Ferrera and Aaron Hayes from Children's Hospital. Nice. And, you know, just Rachel Boston, like a really good cast came out to play with the four of us. And we sort of just had some success at the LA Film Festival, and someone had seen the film and they were like, we'd love to bring you down to Comic-Con. So we were down at Comic-Con. We did two panels.
Nice.
Cool.
And I mean, we were in one of the big halls, you know, up on the stage. And
how was the energy?
Yeah, the energy was great. We couldn't tell if people were there for us or they were getting there early for the next panel, which I think was Batman or something like that, or if they were just taking a break.
Bruce Wayne,
but man, we had over, I think, 1,000 people there asking questions, and that was a very cool experience. I have my name card.
Oh, that's sweet.
Still, you know, better than any trophy I've ever got. Yeah, you know, but no, that was a really cool experience. And then aside from that, we were treated very well. We got into all the different panels and halls and got to go and experience all these different kind of amazing amazing things that happened down there at Comic-Con. I mean, I didn't really know what Comic-Con was until you get down there, and it's a massive event.
Yeah.
You know, and everyone's in their different cosplay stuff, and yeah, that was an experience, man. That was a really good time.
That's cool. I'm glad to hear that, because it's were you fanboying about any of the comics or anything, or were you just there and you're just excited to see the energy and like how people?
Yeah, that latter part, but the rest of the guys in my group are all comic book guys. I didn't grow up doing comic books or video games or anything like that. So, but the rest of my cohorts were like, you know, just cheesing out. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, it's fun to see people light up like that. It's good.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I felt deprived. I went to my folks and I was like, what did you strip me of?
Yeah.
You wouldn't allow me to video game or comic book when I was growing up.
I could have been somebody.
Could have been. Wait, Blaise, with that, any other jobs? I feel like I remember you with us talking about, didn't you do a sports commercial? Was it with like Jalen Rose or something like any other fun spots?
Buddy, I tell you, everyone thinks that's a commercial.
What is it?
That was a pilot for ABC. That's right. So, you know, ESPN and ABC under the same umbrella, and the head of ABC loves Jalen Rose. So he greenlit a Jalen Rose pilot, which basically is like Jalen Rose is, you know, the working dad with the family at home. And then he's also an ESPN broadcaster. So they shot the pilot, and I got to be I think I was waiter number 2. I never met waiter number 1. Actually, I think waiter number 1 was Jalen's, what's his name? Who's the guy he does his show with?
Oh, Jalen and Jacoby?
Jacoby was waiter 1.
Oh my gosh. That's funny.
That's funny. You know, Kobe's, you know, coming to sit at the Palm, and I'm the waiter. You know, that whole scene happens. The pilot doesn't go. So I'm like, oh man, they cut that clip.
It's where he orders 72 or something, right? Isn't that the one, or no?
The 81. The 81. Yeah, like he's one joke.
Yeah.
So they just literally cut the clip out, which is probably, I think they aired the pilot once.
Okay. On
ESPN, just as a you know, like kind of a, you know, tip of the hat to Jalen, like, hey, we're gonna air this on ESPN. And then they cut the clip out, and now that clip, I mean, every year on the day of the 81 point, when Kobe dropped 81 on Jalen, it launches, and I mean, it's got millions and millions and millions of views, and everyone's always like, you must be banking on that. And I'm like,
I wish.
I got paid for my day, but I mean, what a cool experience, man.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's definitely, you know, it's definitely like one of those things that I'm like, that was really awesome, and it priceless, honestly. You know what I mean? Like, you know, obviously you'd love to have more money, but I mean, I wouldn't trade that experience for anything, you know?
I love that. And, you know, it's interesting because sometimes commercials are a great way for like working actors to make a living. And that world has kind of changed a bit. But I also think it's interesting, Blaise, where people like see something that they see a bunch. And sometimes, like, you know, you get a buyout for a commercial. So they kind of buy it out and they run it a bunch, and people are like, oh, you're making bank. You're like, I'm actually not making that much. And then another commercial that you're like barely in runs all the time. You're like, actually, that's the one where you can barely see me. You know, I always think it's funny, like perception versus reality, you know, when you're in this world versus how, you know, people, you know, I think of like, you know, family and friends in like Wisconsin where, you know, they're like, well, how competitive is it to audition for something? Like, very competitive, you know, it's really like, you know what I mean? It's like everybody from around the world, it's challenging, you know, and so
it's become even more competitive, I think, now with self-tapes. And I mean, I would imagine, I mean, I don't have facts on that, but I would imagine that they're seeing more talent, you know, just based on people just doing their own self-tapes.
Most people I know seem to be, you know, or not most, some people I know are getting more auditions, but booking less. So I think they are seeing more, you know, more tapes, more talent, which can feel frustrating. It can feel wonderful to get more auditions, but then frustrating if your booking numbers go down for sure.
Yeah.
So Blaise, I want to ask you, like, what's something that like, I know Corbin kind of alluded to this, but like, is there anything else, like when you think about like earlier in your career, you wish you had like started earlier? And like, I know you mentioned community, which I thought was great, that, or that group, like, how do actors like find that? I always think that's a great thing. Like, are you a fan of, doing it through improv, through acting class, like creating your own, like, how do you find those groups? What do you think for people that are trying to?
I mean, I think all of the above, what you
momentum.
just said, one or the other, all of them. I was lucky to have come out. I mean, there's a huge Chicago contingent out in Los Angeles, and at the time that I came out, there seemed to be a big migration from Chicago to LA. So I had a nice, sort of already built in community that I just kind of landed, on the ground, and it was already doing stuff. But that came from doing improv classes, taking an on-camera class, speed dating. I'm kidding about speed.
I was like, interesting. Noted. Let me put this down really quick.
But Blaise, with that, I'm also curious because like you are a very likable person. You're like a guy who says he's going to do something and then he does it. Like, you show up. I think that's also important. I think that's one of the reasons people want to work with you, and why I think we got along really well. And it's funny, I've bumped into Blaise Corbin a couple times just out and about, and he'll be with buddies that are like, true, genuine friends. I feel like you make true, genuine friendships and connections with the people either that you're working with or that I mean, don't you feel that way?
You hear so many bad stories, or people outside of LA hear all these terrible stories, but I think you can really meet people a little bit more easily sometimes if you're willing to be vulnerable, because people that enter this industry, I would think that most people are willing to be vulnerable because they're willing to put themselves out there and risk, whatever comes with putting yourself out there. But yeah, I mean, I think that it's important. I think that, aside from the industry, you have to have a life. You have to have some kind of balance, you know what I mean? Like inside and outside the industry, but that can be difficult out here because everything's so focused in on the industry, and you're friends with people that are having great success. You're friends with people that have had great success or building back up. You're with people that haven't had really any success. You know what I mean? It's a wide range of people. So, really just being human, I think is important,
Well, circling back to, I think, if I remember, since your trailer was next to mine, I think I knocked on your door, which can be a bit, not that it's intimidating, but I feel like that's a lot of times, like I have enjoyed picking up friends later in life, besides just like my high school and college and earlier friends, if that makes sense. Like, I've enjoyed always being open to that. And I think like how we first met, and just that idea that like, you can find those people, Blaise, and if you connect and click, you click, which is great, no matter what the age is. If sometimes it's challenging if you don't have enough time, but if you have some time, you can still make that happen. And with that, Blaise, you mentioned like recharging your battery. What do you like to do when you're like kind of turning off and not, in producing something or acting on something? What do you like to do?
I enjoy getting up into Griffith Park and disappearing for a little bit.
That's nice.
That's always just, I mean, what an awesome thing to have just in the city. You know what I mean? And being over in Los Feliz for so many years, I could just literally walk out my door. And it's amazing, once you get back from the hike, just letting your mind kind of race and go in different directions, and how that just sort of evens you out. I really enjoy going out to dinner, with friends. And then, I got a little pup now, so, spending time with him. But aside from that, I enjoy watching other people work in all the content that's out there. There's so much great stuff coming out now,
So much good stuff. I agree. So much good stuff. Yeah, it is. It's exciting to see all that. It's like, wow, there's so much, you like get your list and you're like, now I got to add to that list,
I
stuff
know.
to check out.
Never ending.
Yeah, it definitely is. Yeah. Corbin, did you have anything?
I think it's about time for the
Good.
the good stuff. The best
Best
bad
bad acting.
acting.
Oh, we're gonna do
we're
it.
going
Blaise,
for
of
it. We're
course.
going
You thought
for
we
it.
were gonna
Looking at
forget.
myself, am I blown out here?
No, no,
No,
you're
you look
beautiful.
good. You look
Okay.
good. This is awesome. All right. So, Blaise, I'm sure you're familiar, but if you're not, we're going to send you a quote in the chat and you can take whatever spin you want on it. Have some fun with it. I will give just an audience warning. There is 2 swears in this. So, fast forward through this if you're with young children. But this is a fun one. It's kind of a famous one.
I'm gonna be a bad actor.
Yeah. So do it however you want. You can give it an accent. You can do an impression. You don't have to and we might give you a redirect, but it's more just
Okay. I love a redirect.
Okay. Good.
Okay, let's give it a go.
All right. Whenever you're ready.
Let me look at it one more time. I'm gonna be off book.
Yeah. First person off book.
Ooh,
I love
wow.
it.
Okay. Like, I've had it with these snakes on this mother. Let me start over.
Take two.
Okay, we're ready. Okay. I've had it with these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane.
That first motherfucking very important.
Oh, so good, Blaise. Awesome. All right.
I totally botched it
I know
you had
did.
it. You
I know
had
you
it. Yeah.
on purpose.
Yes.
They always call Blaise 2-take wonder. It always
Second one was great.
It's never the first. Corbin, do you have a redirect for Blaise?
On and offset.
Yeah. No matter what.
Exactly.
I do have a redirect.
Yeah.
This is a weird one, but I want to see the character that you talked about with the mustache, with the heavy mustache on your lip.
Oh.
And then I also want
the
to
Heidi Chronicles.
Yeah, the Heidi Chronicles.
All right.
And I want to see you on a speed date with that.
Wow, specific. I like it.
Okay.
Oh.
I've had it with these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane. Is that our time?
That's amazing. That's amazing.
I love that character.
Oh my God, that's so good.
He had a big belly.
Yeah.
think
I
had a
saw
pillow.
that. I felt that.
I had a pillow
felt
stuffed
that.
in.
Yeah. I want to give a simple direction. Just make this guy angry, Blaise. Let's just see him angry. Just want to see where that goes.
Okay. I've had it with these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane.
Jesus. That was amazing.
Oh my gosh. How are our levels there, Corbin?
Oh,
How are these
blown
read?
out.
How is the
For sure blown out.
beautiful Blaise? That was awesome. That was angry. I was
Wow,
like, oh
yeah.
God.
0 to 100.
Yeah. I haven't had my coffee today, so
Wow. Think about with coffee. Inject that. Well, Blaise, this has just been amazing, fabulous. We could have talked for a couple more hours. I mean, it's so good seeing your lovely face. Like I said, you're one of the great guys in Hollywood. I'm so happy for our friendship. And Corbin,
it's been a while, man.
Blaise is one of those guys where it's like, yeah, maybe I haven't seen you for a bit, but when we do see each other, it's so good. It's always easy. It's wonderful to hear, what's going on and all the updates. And
I think we're finally starting to come out of the pandemic. So
I think so too.
We should do this in person.
Blaise, if people want to find more info on you for either like your coaching or your movie, where can they go for stuff like that?
I have a Vimeo page.
Okay.
With a lot of my content over the last however many years.
Is it under your name or what's
just search Blaise Miller Vimeo. I think you can even put vimeo.com/Blaise Miller and it'll come up.
Blaise, AIS. I mean, did you ever think about changing it to a Z? I love the name Blaise. Did you ever think about Blaise it up?
I never thought about it.
Okay, well now
but other people have. I'll get these. I'll get these comments, and it's not so much in the industry, but if I'm out and people will be like, "Oh, Blaise, cool," and I'm like, "Well, it's an AISE," and they're like, "Oh."
Do you want a theme song? Because it felt like John was about to give us one.
I will blaze it up, blaze it up.
Just blaze.
That's for you if you want it.
So they can find on Vimeo. Love that. Any other places they can find you, Blaise?
You could find me on episode 8 of Winning Time on HBO.
Cool.
Coming up.
Congrats.
Hopefully, on other things soon. I mean, it's
Keep an eye out for Blaise. He's always popping up. He's
Mhm.
always popping up in a lot of stuff.
I'd like to pop up a little bit more, but but right now I'm working on a couple side projects that I'm starting to shoot one this weekend, and then
Right.
another one. Just trying to, like we were talking earlier, Corbin,
Always
just
staying busy.
continuing to create and pull people in and trying to do it well, but not break the pocketbook.
Break the bank. Yeah.
That's
Love that.
that's a
Bet-
great trait to have. Not everybody has that, so kudos to you.
No, and I love betting on yourself. I think
Mhm.
that makes a lot of sense, So awesome. Well, Blaise, thank you so much for your time. This was fabulous. Thank you. We really appreciate it. And so
Thank
great
you,
seeing
guys. This has been fun. How long did we go?
Oh yeah, Blaise wants to know time.
Right now we're
Yeah.
at 55 minutes, so we're right at the sweet spot.
Ooh, You feeling good?
Yeah.
I feel great. Leave them wanting more. Leave 'em wanting more.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah, you want more Blaise? Let us know. We'll get him back. All right,
Exactly.
Blaise. Have a great day. Enjoy yourself.
Thanks,
Bye,
Blaise.
bud.
Bye.
See you guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you for listening. Corbin, what are you drinking out of?
Oh, this? Oh,
Yeah.
it's just the moving spotlight mug. Have you heard of it?
Are you acting right now? Because this is like so obvious. It's like so put on. Like,
This
are
is
you
how I
really-
act. I don't
This is how-
understand.
Why
it
is
comes
your
from
word
up.
so
It
stilted?
comes from up here.
Corbin and I, before we started rolling, I said, let's do a little spot for our merchandise, like the mug and stuff. And then
Yeah.
Corbin gets all weird and his acting turns
It's
into like
all
a
about
robot.
it's all about being stiff and this
Okay.
voice.
That voice. Wow. So we've mentioned it before, another episode. If you're on YouTube, he's really featuring this mug. He thinks he's like a Vanna White, which is, it's working for him. It's working for you, Corbin.
Thank you.
But please, if you get a chance, check us out on on YouTube, on the podcast app of choice, on our website. We're out there. We want to hear from you if you can.
Yeah, please come check us out.
Yep. And if you want to check out some merch, go ahead. We've been giving away the mugs to guests. They love them.
We'll be
we might
sent.
posting,
Yeah,
we might be posting photos of some of our guests with those mugs.
yeah. Check
very
out our
soon.
Instagram. You might see some fun guests holding some fun mugs. No
Ooh,
big
nice.
deal.
Good way to slide that in.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks again for listening. We appreciate you all. See you soon. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to the
Moving Spotlight Podcast.